What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you were happy to see the Dallas Cowboys return to practice on Saturday, July 31st, 2021, the final day in the month of July. August will be here tomorrow, which means the Dallas Cowboys will be playing some football games this month. Very exciting times. Saturday marked Back Together Saturday, a day that the NFL kind of hyped up all across the National Football League. The Cowboys were indeed off on Friday. They got back to work, and there's a lot for us to discuss. Let's go ahead and dive in, recap the practice like we've been doing throughout every practice of training camp with highlights, discussion, analysis, and the good times. That's how we roll here on the Blog of the Boys YouTube channel. Make sure you do subscribe. Let's start first with before practice operations. DeMarcus Lawrence, who's on the PUP list at the moment. We likely won't see him until the team gets back to the start in Frisco. Looking good, doing what he can. We like to see all of this. Not a lot, but, hey, it's about taking things slow right now. It's a marathon. The tortoise or the turtle, whatever it is, wins the race. I don't know how that whole thing goes. Also, things that kind of before practice really begins, there's obviously individual drills and things like that. We saw CeeDee Lamb fielding some punts. Hey, you know what? I'll tell you how I feel. Now, I don't want to see CD fielding any punts. I know that there are some people who are down with it. CD's too valuable to the offense in my mind. I like it situationally. If the Cowboys are down by 4, 2 minutes left, there's a punt. You really are kind of hoping for an explosive play, explosive return. Fine, throw him back there. But on the reg, there's too many other options. There's Tony Pollard, there's Cedric Wilson, whatever. Is there Ezekiel Elliott as a punt returner? Maybe this was just for fun. I cannot see a universe where Zeke Elliott is the punt returner for the Dallas Cowboys, but hey, maybe the Cowboys, maybe John Fossil, they all have something up their sleeve. Who knows? We talked about CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee continues to look amazing. The second-year wide receiver seemingly is going to take a jump to superstardom in 2021. So many people believe already that Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings is the best wide receiver from the class of 2020. Double J is awesome. Not trying to take away anything from him. Big fan of his. I don't have any shares of him in fantasy football leagues, which is a huge bummer, but I do have some shares of CeeDee Lamb, so I'm obviously biased as a Cowboys fan, but CeeDee Lamb ultimately is going to be amazing this season. How do we know? How are we certain that CeeDee Lamb is going to be amazing? Look at this. Look at CeeDee Lamb work. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Seriously. I mean, who doesn't love CeeDee Lamb? Honestly, he's a player that I feel like every team's fans in the NFL, I feel like every Bengals fan loves CeeDee Lamb. I know they love Jamar Chase. I feel like every, Raiders fan, even with Ruggs, like CeeDee Lamb is just a really likable player. And he's obviously going to take a huge leap in year 2, which is going to be a lot of fun to watch. We saw Zeke Elliott at the end of that clip. He was warming up early with Dak Prescott, who did not throw on Saturday again as he nurses the muscle strain in his shoulder. Now, we talked about this after Thursday's practice when we did our recap video, that while Dak Prescott is not throwing, the fact that he's out there is very encouraging news. He can go out, he can hand the ball off, he can drop back, he can make his reads. He's just not throwing the ball. When things get to the team portion of practice, he heads on over to the cords and does his thing. Hey, I mean, I want to see Dak. You want to see Dak. I'm sure that the NFL was bummed that Dak Prescott was not practicing on Back Together Saturday when they had people at every single training camp throughout the National Football League. But as long as Dak takes his time, I think we're all going to be very, very happy about it in the long run. I did stumble over the word very. It's just that kind of day. I haven't had a whole coffee yet today, so that's on me. But Garrett Gilbert is seeing the top quarterback snaps in lieu of Dak Prescott at the moment. Doesn't look bad. I think we all still have questions about the QB2 spot in Dallas ultimately, but Garrett Gilbert found Dalton Schultz for a nice moment early on. Okay. Hey, it's been a while since we kind of gassed up Dalton Schultz a little bit. We've been talking a little bit about Blake Jarwin since, but Blake obviously kind of on a pitch count. We've seen the Cowboys be a little bit cautious when it comes to players on the injury front. In fact, before practice on Saturday, Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy noted that Michael Gallup would be returning after the Cowboys held him out with the ankle issue after he had the scary moment where he flipped over. Tyron Smith, Amari Cooper, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Bradley Anae were listed as players that would not practice, according to Mike McCarthy. However, Tyron Smith did walk out with his shoulder pads on and everything ready to go. Did participate a little bit, wasn't completely active, wasn't enough to really kind of qualify as a practice. So again, a positive thing. No real need to worry about Tyron Smith. We've talked obviously about the state of the tackle position as a whole, the state of the swing tackles on this team. We all know that Ty Nsekhe is kind of the top guy, but Ty himself was not practicing on Saturday, so something to monitor. More opportunities for Terrence Steele, for Brandon Knight. I know that doesn't inspire or instill a lot of confidence, but it is still, opportunities at training camp are important. And by the way, just on the subject of offensive linemen, it really was a day where a lot were hindered or out in some capacity. Rookie 4th-round pick Josh Ball had to go to the tent to get his right ankle retaped. So, we're being wise, being smart, taking things slow again in an overall perspective. Last note on Tyron Smith, though, Randy Gregory was not upset that Tyron Smith was not at practice on Saturday. In fact, Randy Gregory said afterwards that he was relieved when Tyron said that he would not be a full participant. Randy Gregory said that rushing against Tyron Smith is obviously fun and is competition and is good times, but that it is also, quote, a pain in the ass. So, I'm sure that a lot of defensive ends in the NFL feel that way. Randy Gregory did have a great practice overall, though, even without Tyron Smith present, especially you could argue without Tyron Smith present. Got himself what would have been a nice sack. I think we're all going to see a lot of Randy Gregory sacks in 2021. Rough moment there for Garrett Gilbert. In fact, let's play that back again. Watch Randy. I know it happens fast. That's kind of the Randy Gregory way. Very good stuff to see Randy Gregory getting in on the action. I think I hear a dog in the background barking. My dog, he gets upset. You talk about Randy saying that Tyron Smith can be a pain in the ass. My dog has a similar level of frustration when he doesn't get to be in the videos here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. We recently passed 10,000 subscribers, and he wants in on the attention. His name is Bear. He's a little 2-year-old Cavachon, so everybody just send Bear some good thoughts so that he can feel included. But in all seriousness, it's the work from home life. You know how it is. Let's get back to the defense. Dan Quinn, we've talked so much about how he's such a great teacher. We've seen him kind of educating different players at different moments. He kept up that same routine. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of this on Hard Knocks in a couple of weeks. Working is how Dan Quinn wants to roll. By the way, the Hard Knocks premiere will not be this next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. This coming week, the Dallas Cowboys will be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame game on Thursday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The first episode of Hard Knocks comes the Tuesday after. So at present time, we are, 10 days away from the premiere episode of Hard Knocks. Good times are coming. Let's talk about linebackers. Linebackers getting things going early on with some drills. I promise we have some more exciting highlights, but still, we all obviously have a lot to pay attention to with Micah Parsons, Jalen Smith, and Leighton Vander Esch.
There it is right there, Luke. That's it right there. Good. All right, going the other way now. Hit one both sides. Here we go. 2-19. Side. Hit. Go right there. On and off. Good. Here we go. 2-19.
Good to see Jabril Cox getting in on the action. Feels like we haven't seen a lot from him. I think a lot of us, I know myself personally, thought that we were going to see a lot of Jabril Cox highlights at training camp. The opportunities just haven't been there for him because the Cowboys have to tend to so many other players along or throughout the linebacker group. But you look at it, and Leighton Vander Esch is obviously, we mentioned him just before we played that clip, somebody who is going to play a prominent role on this defense this season. Kyle Yeomans, great friend of the show from DallasCowboys.com, noted that Leighton has a quiet confidence about him this year. Takes every rep like a game rep, according to Kyle, and is ultra clean in his execution. He's locked in, and you can see it. That's good, right? I think hey, Leighton, it was a really rough year last year for Leighton Vander Esch, and so this is a serious year for Leighton Vander Esch. It's a contract year, and it's going to determine a lot of his NFL future. Obviously, not just where he ends up in 2022, but the kind of linebacker he is. Is he going to fade further into obscurity, or is he going to reestablish himself as one of the top defensive players in the game? I mentioned Jabril Cox. He was covering Sean McKeon. We've been talking a lot about Sean McKeon over the last couple of days. Garrett Gilbert, Sean McKeon, Jabril Cox. I bet you never thought these three guys would be involved in a highlight that we would play here for you. I don't know who I think I'm more hyped about at this point. Probably Sean McKeon than Jabril Cox, and that's okay. Time will come for Jabril Cox, but it's really nice to see that Sean McKeon is coming along a little bit in his own right as the third tight end on the team. Hey, it can't all be Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin. So it is what it is. Let's talk about defense now. Trayvon Diggs continues, I think, to really just – I think that we're seeing a larger leap, honestly, from Trayvon Diggs than we are CeeDee Lamb, and that's because CeeDee was so impressive as a rookie. But a lot of our hopes this season have been pinned on Trayvon Diggs establishing himself as the top cornerback on this team, CB1, if you will. And Trayvon, I mean, it's not hyperbolic, it's not ridiculous, it's not exaggerating to say that so much is depending on him being an elite defensive player for the Cowboys in 2021, because that secondary outside of Trayvon Diggs doesn't have anybody that we're overly pumped about. It has players that we're excited about, don't get me wrong. Donovan Wilson, obviously, we have different levels of excitement for now Malik Hooker, even DeMonte Casey is pop, Maurice Kennedy, Kelvin Joseph, et cetera, et cetera. But Trayvon Diggs looking nice, not letting anything get in his way from really taking a leap and becoming a top corner in the NFL. We like that. We like that a lot. In fact, I'm going to play that for you one more time. Trayvon comes in as you're watching it from the right side of your screen. We love the physical nature of how he's playing at the cornerback position. We want to see him attacking the ball, not letting anything get behind him. This is just, well done. That's Noah Brown that Trayvon's going up against, which, no disrespect to Noah Brown, is an easier assignment than when you have to guard, say, CeeDee Lamb. Last year when the Cowboys drafted CeeDee and Trayvon with their first and second round picks respectively, you look at something like that and you say, man, these guys are going to be going at each other for years to come. We said that a few videos ago here on the channel, and that doesn't always play itself out, right? Like, that's a really nice thing to hope, but it doesn't always work that way. It does seem like that is actually happening here in year two, and some of that is that now things are more normal. Some of that is that now Trayvon is the top corner on the team, is drawing more legitimate assignments in practice and camp and things like that. Trayvon and CeeDee, if there's one matchup that we could watch over and over and over again, it is undeniably number 27 against number 88. That's a win for Trayvon. And it's hard to win against CeeDee Lamb. And as CeeDee continues to grow and mature into his NFL shape and NFL form, that'll only get harder, obviously. It's difficult against some of these bigger, more physical wide receivers in the National Football League, or DK Metcalfs of the world. But Trayvon, I really think if there's a player who we have, at least speaking for myself, who I have taken my level of excitement, or who has taken my level of excitement to a higher level throughout the first 7 practices of training camp, it's Trayvon Diggs. When camp started, I really believed, like I'm sure you did, that he was going to be a very good player for the Dallas Cowboys. But I do believe, just based off the small, admittedly, sample size that we have of him, that he really actually could legitimately take a leap towards becoming one of the better corners in the National Football League. He's at the age where that tends to happen. He's still new. I think think we forget that. He started his career at Alabama as a wide receiver, obviously like his older brother, not at Alabama, but you get my point. And so he's still kind of and has been new at learning the position of corner. He's such a talented athlete that we're finally starting to see where that ultimately takes hold. Nice to see Trayvon Diggs getting some successes, having some successes against CeeDee Lamb, but he's not the only guy who looks good. One of our great friends, Israel Mukwamu, if you didn't see our interview with him a few months ago, the day after he was drafted, actually go back on our channel and watch it. It was awesome. Israel Mukwamu, this is an incredible highlight. Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys social team for putting this one out. I mean, it looks like Israel's flying. We know that he's rangy. We know that he's long. We know all about his athletic prowess, and he really put it on display here. I actually really thought he flew for a second. Like, I actually, for a brief moment in time, kind of thought that Israel Mukwamu flew. One more time. Now, I will say, as great as it was, as awesome of a highlight as that is, you got to come down with the interception. I know it's difficult. I know it's not easy, but that's the difference, right? Like, we've got to see those being interceptions. Hey, Israel Mukwamu is still the rookie, obviously being flipped to safety now, so we're willing to give him a little bit of a pass to a certain degree, but that's got to be an interception, Izzy. We believe in you. But good stuff to see, obviously, the Cowboys DBs having success in different moments. We've seen some really positive stuff from different players so far. I was going to say early on in camp, but we're 7 practices in, and I think that that's starting to show. We're starting to see a little bit more physicality from players. We haven't seen a fight or a skirmish yet, but things are definitely, look, I've said this before, it's obviously hot in Texas. All right, I've lived in Texas my whole life. It's not as hot in California, but even in the beautiful California weather, the heat can get to you, and if you're 7 practices in, you're going to start to kind of show it a little bit. I like that, though, from Leighton. I like that playing through, that we really want to see that from Leighton Vander Esch. And we know he's a good player when he's healthy, and that's ultimately what this is about. He's got to stay healthy. His talent isn't in question, but the physical nature of training camp is starting to show itself, and I think we're going to see a lot of that, I think, on Hard Knocks as well. By the way, we will be having live streams after every episode of Hard Knocks here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel, so make sure you do subscribe. It's nice to see, by the way, the Cowboys working on these underneath things with their running backs. We certainly want to see the running backs utilized and incorporated more in the passing game, although when you have the passing options that the Cowboys do with their top wide receivers and top tight ends, why would you ever want to throw it underneath? I think the answer, though, is maybe not when it comes to Ezekiel Elliott, but because you have Tony Pollard. You have this incredible weapon, this really fast, shifty, dynamic weapon that can be used out of the backfield on swing passes and things like that. Here's Tony Pollard doing that. It would be incredible to see more of this in 2021 from Kellen Moore. We're going to play this for you one more time in just a minute, but the reason this is such an advantageous thing for the Cowboys, when you have a player like Tony Pollard, get him in a one-on-one matchup. That's what we want to see. We want to see Tony Pollard against a linebacker. This is Jalen Smith, and so everybody will have a snide comment or two. But if that's the matchup that Tony Pollard has to win, I think we all believe that far more often than not, he's going to. And so, look, no one's saying that this is a home run every time. You don't have to pick up, 30, 20, even 10, even 8 yards on these particular plays. But if you're picking up chunks, if you're picking up 4, 6 yards on these moments, on these plays, it really goes a longer way at overall maximizing the efficiency of your offense. It's nice. It's nice to see the Cowboys sprinkling in, I don't want to say the reserve players because I think we all want a larger role for Tony Pollard in 2020 than a reserve role, but still they're at that point, again, as we talked about, different players getting rest days, different players being afforded opportunities to rest, and that creates opportunities to kind of learn about players. I think one of those showed itself on Saturday. Connor McGovern, who we all obviously are kind of indifferent about at this point. But Connor McGovern got some snaps with the first team at left guard, while Connor Williams took backup center reps. And so we've talked about this before. what is the best five, the best true five for the Cowboys at offensive line? Is it Tyron Smith, Connor Williams, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, Lyle Collins? Would you rather have Connor Williams playing center? If you had Connor Williams playing center, who's playing left guard? Would it be Connor McGovern? It ultimately boils down, I think, to who you believe in more, Connor McGovern or Tyler Biadasz, and I think the answer is definitely Tyler Biadasz. But 7 practices in the books for the Dallas Cowboys. Very exciting stuff. We are now, 5 days away from their first game of 2021, a preseason game, an exhibition game, but still very exciting nonetheless. Like I said, we have a lot of stuff planned for you here on the YouTube channel, so make sure you do subscribe. We are close to 11,000 followers. We're inching our way. Things are going to be really fun this football season, and I'm really excited to share it all with you. Thank you for making Blogging the Boys a part of your Dallas Cowboys experience. We know that your time is important, and we want to make sure that we are taking care of your time. We want to make sure that the time you spend with us is well worth it. So we work around the clock to make sure that that is the case. The Cowboys will be back at practice on Sunday, which means we will, of course, have another recap video available for you here on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Check out bloggingtheboys.com for all the latest and greatest in the world of Dallas Cowboys news. We'll have all the updates you need. You can follow us on social media, subscribe to our podcast network, etc., etc. And while you're doing stuff, make sure you have the best day of all time. You know why? Because you deserve it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.